Recess is over. I'm sorry, the meet and greet is over, please. The forum now ready to start. Can we have the two candidates for president of Park Forest come up, please? Mr. Ostenburg and Mr. Brown. Just for clarity here, there'll be some people giving you 5x7 cards. You may put your questions down on the card. You do not have to sign. Please do not sign the cards. The forum is about to start. I will not read the rules again as I have read the rules earlier. And the two people here, Mr. JeRome Brown and Mr. John Ostenburg, has signed and agreed to the ground rules. The first opening statement, we drew lots before, and the first opening statement will be with Mr. John Brown is first.
Yeah,
JeRome Brown.
That's where the capitals are.
You know what, I should remember that my son's name is JeRome. His middle name. But at any rate, I'll keep thinking about my son so I don't make the mistake again. Okay? Okay. Mr. JeRome Brown will give you his opening statement. The timers are timing so that I will be able to see the time, and you as well. They're sitting right here.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
First of all, I'd like to say good afternoon to the residents of Park Forest. I would also like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters. I would also like to say good afternoon to the non-partisan local government of Park Forest. My name is JeRome Brown, and I'm a native of Chicago, like a few of you or many of you. I swore that I would never leave Chicago, and then I got engaged, and my wife said I would not live in Chicago. And she wanted to move to the suburbs. So me being a strong man I am, I looked her in her eyes, I said, I run this, of course we're moving. So we moved to Park Forest. I came to Park Forest as a strong Chicago son. And I tried to figure out how could I fit in as being a strong son of Park Forest. What happened to me when I got to Park Forest, I had my first son. And his name is Dash. A lot of you have seen him and running around Park Forest. And I was still puzzled about how would I make a mark here in Park Forest as one of Park Forest's strongest sons. Then I realized I'm no longer a son, I'm a father. So I want to thank Park Forest for allowing me now to be one of Park Forest's father, to teach and serve the children that are coming up. I'm also the president of Toastmasters in Park Forest. I'm a member of the Rotary Club in Park Forest. I'm also a member of the nonpartisan local government. I'm also a member of the Boosters Club at Rich East. I have a stepdaughter, and I hate using that word, but just so you can know what I'm talking about, that's on an honor roll student ever since she's attended Rich East. She's on a track team. She tried cross country, wanted to give it up, but I taught her about team and how she had to go through struggles sometimes to be stronger. Now she's looking at trying to get a scholarship running cross country. That's a clap, by the way. I'm a motivational speaker, a youth advocate, a community fighter, and what I want you all to know today is that Park Forest is in trouble. Park Forest is in trouble and our people are hurting. Park Forest working families live in fear every day, trying to figure out if the taxes in Park Forest go up or increase anymore, where they lose everything that they have. And that's wrong. The crux of my campaign is to wipe away the fears. If you're voting for JeRome Brown, I would definitely cut taxes. I would look into lowering the water bills. I want to innovate the renovation of the downtown area. I would like to partnership with the school district, meeting with the superintendent of 227 and 163, where we can see where our plans overlap one another and come up with some strategic planning. And I think that's my time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Ostenburg.
Thank you, Marion. Good afternoon. I want to thank the Nonpartisan Committee and also the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum. Every election cycle, we have the same sponsors, and we appreciate the fact that the League is always taking the lead in sponsoring one of these. I also want to thank the residents of Park Forest for having given me the opportunity over the course of the last 25 years to serve in a whole variety of different capacities in our community. As a trustee at 2 different times, as your state representative for a period of time, and then as the mayor of Park Forest now for 12 years. Actually, 4 years ago, I did not think I would be back here sitting at this table again this year seeking re-election. I really kind of thought it was time to ride into the sunset. But there are so many things that we are doing in our village right now that we are right on the edge of completing, that I really felt compelled this year to give it one more try. One of the biggest of those things is something that was just announced this past week. Some of you, I think, had the opportunity to be at our business breakfast on Thursday morning when Richard Dent, the recent Hall of Fame inductee, who has not yet been inducted, but he's been stated as a coming inductee, announced that he's only a couple weeks away from bringing his company to our village. And we've been working on this for months. And it's a company that not only will employ individuals, but it capitalizes on the opportunity to improve the sustainability and the use of energy for both residences and for businesses. That will be a major attraction for us to draw other businesses in. It's a firm that's been written up nationally in Crane Chicago Business, on CBS News, and Park Forest will be the home for that, 2 weeks away from that. That's one of the reasons why I felt the need that I have to complete the job. Another one that is very important to me, I know there's a division of opinion among some people, but it's the Abraham Lincoln National Airport. I serve as vice chairman of the commission. We have been working for 10 years on this aspect of it, and another 10 to 15 years prior to that, just on the notion of a South Suburban airport. The governor has now made a commitment, he did that in his inaugural address, that the airport will be built. It's now time for us to work as comprehensively as possible, as cohesively as possible as a South Suburban region to get the very best benefit for our community. We need an economic engine. We all know that. Those of us who have been involved in the political structure over the course of the last several years, we know what the problem is. The problem is that we need an economic engine in the South Suburbs. That is a key economic engine. The two of those things, the Richard Dent Project and the South Suburban Airport, will create thousands of new jobs and broaden our tax base so that the burden doesn't fall so heavily on homeowners. I thank you for listening, and I look forward to any questions you may have.
Now we'll move into the question phase. I will read the question as I receive them from the audience. And then we will allow you to answer your questions. First question is, how would you address school children attending school from out of districts? You would answer the first question, please.
How would I? That's a hard question. Oh, nice.
supposed to answer first? Because
Well, go ahead.
first on the statement.
In your house, feel free.
I'll be happy to do that. The very first thing is that we've already been working with School District 163 on addressing this issue. It's a very, very difficult one to deal with because obviously the tax base of the local taxpayers is what supports the schools. In fact, 60% of your tax bill does not come to the Village of Park Forest. It goes to support our schools. So we work with the district very closely on checking things like water bill records, things of that sort. Is there a fail-safe process for doing it? No, it simply is impossible. There's always going to be that way that someone is going to come in from another jurisdiction, pretend that they're living with an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, or whatever, in order to go to our school system rather than another school system without paying the taxes to support the school system. But we are working as closely as possible with the school district to try to check into those areas where the district raises the question mark, where they say, we think we have a problem potentially with this student not being a resident of Park Forest, or you got to also understand the School District 163, there's a full segment of Chicago Heights that's part of that, the Beacon Hill section. So it's a case of where they cannot be a resident of District 163, not specifically just Park Forest. But we try to work with them as closely as possible to identify those records. We don't get quite the same level of support from Chicago Heights on that right now. I'm hoping that in the future the school district will be able to work with both municipalities. But when that's identified, then that information is turned over to the school district, and then we don't have the jurisdictional control over that. The school district has to take the initiative, but we can provide them background.
Same question, Mr. JeRome, Mr. Brown.
Okay. Like I said, it's a hard question. Being a youth advocate, it's just hard for me to turn my back on children as a whole, period. I would, instead of just turning away kids from my district, I would try to find a remedy to bring their districts up to par. Reverend Meeks also had took a bus load of kids, actually a couple bus load of kids, up to a north side school in the north suburbs, and that's what his claim was. It wasn't to take their education level down and bring Chicago Southside level up. It was to give a even medium for everyone. If they have $50,000 per child, we should have $50,000 per child. So I'm not into just saying they're not welcome here in this district. Education is key to everything. And if you take an education away from a child, you're basically taking away their hope. And if you take away their hope, you're probably looking at overfilling the prison system that we already have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And so that you know that I know what I'm doing, rule number 2 says, number 3 said the candidate who makes the first opening statement will move to the end of the line so that he will answer the first question. Okay? What do you plan on doing about the gang problem?
Right.
Right, I'm scared. That's it, man.
No, Mr. Ostenburg.
Okay.
It rotates.
I know it rotates, but I was trying to get back on schedule since you guys are going. But if you want me to do it, I'm the moderator. I'm in charge. Okay.
All right, thank you. We have established a program through the Park Forest Police Department that has been fairly successful over the course of the last couple of years in dealing with youth-related issues. It's a combination of different things. Some of you are aware that there's a canteen program that goes on. There's also summer activities that the police department engages in. But the police department has created a group of individuals, young people, who will work with our youth in the community to try to alleviate the kinds of problems that develop that ultimately lead to gangs. We have the biggest problem that we've been able to identify in the community is the fact that when children move from the city or from other suburbs to Park Forest, many times, they don't immediately fit in to the community. For whatever reasons, they simply don't. And as a result of that, their ties remain with wherever it is that they came from. So if they were in the city of Chicago and they were associated with people in the neighborhood and perhaps there were some kind of gang activities or something similar, many times what will start to happen is their friends will come to visit them here. We've had a considerable number of problems that have involved that. So the police department's focus is to try to get young people involved in local activities as much as possible so that they can feel that Park Forest is their home and they can break that tie with wherever it is that they may have come from. It's not an easy task. I raised 4 kids. I know what they're like when they're teenagers, and they don't always want to listen to authority when authority is asking them to do something. But it seems as though the system that the Park Forest Police Department has put together of hiring young people who are college age, who can work with these other young people, they work with them at a better level than the adults who kind of speak down to them in many cases. Now, one of the interesting things is that some of the folks who have worked in that program now are on our staff at the village, which is very positive.
Thank you, Mr. Ostenburg.
Could you repeat the question?
Okay. What do you plan on doing about the gang problem?
That's a great question. The police department, I just toured the police department in Park Forest, and they are doing an outreach program, and I'm happy to say that I'm glad that involvement is here. I was really impressed with the program that they have. I think it's it could be much bigger than what it is. It's not about just the police reaching out, it's all of us reaching out. Like they said, take a village to raise a child. I am firsthand part of an advocate program called YEP. It's the acronyms mean Youth Advocate Program. In that program, we deal with kids, not kids that are at risk. That's a saying that they use. We help kids that are risky. These are kids that are capable of shooting someone or capable of being shot. And if you will, not trying to be politically correct, these are your worst of worst kids. They are gang infested, they're drug dealers, drug users, auto thieves, and things of that nature. We mentor them on every facet that you could possibly think. I go to the schools and speak with teachers, principals, deal with suspensions, go to court with them. Just this past week, I had them out with me at Rotary Club, giving dictionaries away to 3rd graders. So I'm showing them a different part of life. I would strongly suggest that Park Forest adopt the YEP program. It's a wonderful program, and it helps the kids. We take them out to play basketball. We feed them. You wouldn't even imagine the kids don't know how to eat properly. How to say thank you when a waitress comes to the table. They don't even know anything about grooming themselves. When I go pick up one of the youths in my own vehicle, I have to tell them, you have to go back into the house and iron your clothes if you're going to be with me, and be on time and learn how to say thank you and things of that nature.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We are rotating the questions. The order of the question doesn't go zigzag, zigzag. It has to do with the person who gets to answer the first question, okay? What is your vision of Park Forest 4 years from now, and how can this be accomplished? Mr. Brown.
I envision Park Forest 4 years from now with a innovated, renovated downtown Park Forest. We need to liven Park Forest downtown area up. What do I mean by that? We have to come up with some entertainment, some sit-down dining areas. We have to have our own genuine signature in Park Forest. I think some of the things that has been discussed or tried or tabled in the past didn't work because it was mom and pop shops. We can't open a grocery store in Park Forest, where the bread is $3.99 and right up the street is 99 cents. So we have to, what I would suggest strongly is using our Norwood Plaza for the grocery area and use our downtown area for our entertainment purposes. And then we'll attract people, we will attract people not only in Park Forest, but in the surrounding areas. And if we get it rocking and rolling the way I would choose, we have people coming from Chicago just to experience a taste of Park Forest. That sounds good to me. I don't know why nobody.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Ostenburg.
Thank you. I think I have a minute. It's hard to say what I think will happen in 4 years in 1 minute, but let me just very quickly say, I think that the third airport will have happened within 4 years. I don't think there's any question the ground will be broken. When that happens, we're going to see commercial development in this region that is going to explode almost immediately. I believe that where we're positioned right now with the airport, and I'm involved in a lot of meetings with the governor's staff and with others, we are roughly 2 years away from ground being broken. In 4 years, we will see commercial development in our region that will match what we see in the northwest suburbs. Now, there's a little bit of a difference. And that's the fact that we've had the opportunity to plan for that. So we won't see that kind of growth that took place in the northwest suburbs where there wasn't planning and it caused a lot of congestion and things of that sort. Secondly, I think that we're going to see a development of much more small, energy efficient businesses in our region. Businesses that will take advantage of things like the high-speed rail that will be coming through the south suburbs, the Canadian National transmodal facility that will allow for a lot of materials to come into this region and then to be distributed to various places for light manufacturing. We already have some of that in our industrial park with the one firm, the Halliday firm, that produces materials for rail cars. This is the kind of activity that does create new jobs. We're right on the cutting edge of some of this. One of the things that always happens in an economic downturn is that businesses begin to plan for what they can do when the economy turns around. And we are seeing businesses that are in the midst of doing that kind of planning. Now, what's the advantage to that? The biggest complaint that we have when we try to attract chain stores, restaurants, things of that sort is they tell us you don't have enough activity in your community of the kind of people who will come to lunch because they're working in the community. There aren't enough jobs in the community. So a critical element to all the other economic growth is to create light manufacturing facilities, things of that sort that do in fact create new jobs in our town.
Thank you. Having said that, how would you plan to capitalize on the Old Plank Road to benefit the village?
Old Plank Road?
To benefit the village. Being that I don't live here, I don't know what that is.
Okay. Well, the Old Plank Road is actually a bicycle walking path trail that right now ends at Western Avenue. It will, in fact, extend into Chicago Heights. We hope in the future. There's plans for that, but nothing's been done yet. And it goes from Park Forest all the way over to Joliet. And then, in fact, if you're ambitious enough, you can take the trail up north. You can go just about all the way around the circle of Chicagoland by bicycle or I don't know who's going to hike that far, but you can do it walking too. It's a great facility. It's the old railroad line. It in fact does bring lots of people into our community because they take the trail down. Now, what we have been working on, and we tried to do something with the state of Illinois on the expansion of Western Avenue, and the state simply was not quite ready to do bike trails, but we have put some things in place to where as we have expansion of commerce, we can connect bike trails to the Old Plank Trail so that people can come off of the Old Plank Road and then come into the village if we have a restaurant, things of that sort. Of course, we have to draw those other kinds of activities to make it worthwhile. We've built a facility right near the Ludeman Center. That's a very nice facility for individuals who are riding down the trail that they can stop there for their various needs. And there's going to be a park that's created with the development near the commuter train station parking lot in Madison. Actually, we own the parking lot, even though it's in the village of Madison. And in our settlement with Canadian National, which we got $7.2 million from them, one of the things that they're doing is building a park there so that people who are taking the Old Plank Trail can actually stop for picnics, things of that sort. There's going to be a caboose there so that little kids can kind of play on it. So we'll be taking advantage of the Old Plank Trail, that as people use that they'll see some amenities that are park forest amenities. And that's all. That should be pretty much underway this coming spring.
Oh, okay, Mr. Brown, would you like to speak to that too?
Sure. The Old Plank, our leisure time is probably filled at this time. In Park Forest, I don't think our attention should be there. Any monies that we would get, whether it's from TIF, grants, the state, the feds, anyone, I think those should be going towards strategies to bring businesses to to Park Forest. In Park Forest, with the downtown area especially, instead of trying to open up one business at a time, I think we need to have a grand opening for the entire part of downtown Park Forest. If we have businesses that are interested, we should give all of them the same opening day. So let's just say we had people that was interested in moving downtown Park Forest now. We'll say, once you get ready, we will not open until August 5th. And at that time, we will reopen the entire downtown area. Old Plank Road is a wonderful place for sightseeing and things of that nature. We have too many parks as it is in Park Forest. I think that we should focus heavily on businesses and reducing our taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Now, Mr. Brown, you get a chance to answer this question first. What plans would you implement to help the residents with the rising costs of water and sewer costs that has risen over 50% from 4 years ago?
Once again, the answer that Park Forest had, we can't put any other pressures on the taxpayers. We have to bring businesses into Park Forest. And I understand some people are interested in small and mid-sized business, but we have to go after some corporations, especially in the industrial area of Park Forest, that's off of North Street. If we get these businesses in Park Forest, by giving them some type of incentives, we can lower the water bills. I have a question myself. We have a recycling business that's in Park Forest. They come by and pick up every other Tuesday my recycling. I don't know where that money is going. Is it a way that we could find out? I haven't seen it published. I looked around and I haven't been successful to find out where is that money, because I know recycling is a big business money, and it's a big business actually, and I would love to know where's that money going, because I know that we send out garbage every other Tuesday, and I don't know where this money is going. So that may be one thing that we can say, well, let's show us where we could probably put some of that money toward the water bills.
Thank you very much. Let me just answer that very quickly. First of all, the recycling money does go back into the refuge fund. We keep our funds segregated. We don't put refuge money, for example, into the water fund. Each one is a segregated fund, and that information is published in the budget booklet, which is yay thick, that is available for anyone to look at. Now, just quickly to the water fund. We have a problem with water, no question about that. Right after I was elected mayor in 1999, one of the things I discovered was that we were being sued by the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for, at that point, it was roughly $5 million, because we were polluting the sewer streams with the residue that was coming from our water plant. The only solution to that was to construct a new water plant, which we did. That water plant cost about $14 million. We were able to get a low-interest loan from the state of Illinois. Initially, the EPA turned down our request for the loan, but I got to tell you that Senator Maggie Crotty and Renee Cipriano, who was then the head of the IEPA, we met with them personally, and they got us the low-interest loan, which saved taxpayers roughly $4 million over the course of the loan, the 20 years of the loan. But you got to pay principal on that new water plant. Now, we have a new water plant. Our water was just judged the best in the state of Illinois and was finalist in the nation for quality of water. You know, because we have a new state-of-the-art plant, but it has to be paid for. Secondly, we had an identification some years ago that some of our trustees really brought up, was that there were problems with fire flow water lines to the southeast area of the village, where in fact some of those residents could be in danger because of the low pressure. We had to build a new water tower out there in the Autumn Trace area, you know, and that has to be taken care of. Thirdly, one of the biggest complaints that we have had from residents over the last several years is the fact that there are so many water main breaks. In the middle of the night, you don't have water the next morning or whatever. For a long time, we were putting Band-Aids on that. We would clean this one up, clean that one up. We have now gone to a program where a portion of your water bill in fact goes into a reserve fund so that we can start to replace water mains. Rather than the Band-Aid, put in new water mains. Now let me just tell you one last thing before I stop.
Thank you, Mr.
Were you a school teacher as well?
Yes, I was.
No, I'm talking to her.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now.